Thanks for being here, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular town council meeting for the town of Star Valley Ranch. It is the 11th day of March 2025 at 7 p.m. We do have all council members present, along with Town Clerk Gray and Town Administrator Aitken. If I could ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. The first item on the agenda is to reconvene our regular town council meeting. Could I please get a motion to reconvene?
I motion that we reconvene the regular meeting.
Could I get a second, please?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilman Bitter and seconded by Councilman Toolson. All in favor?
Aye.
With none opposed, the motion carries. All right. The next item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
I so move that we adopt the agenda.
It's been moved by Councilman Merrill. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bitter. All in favor? Aye. None opposed, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda, announcements and proclamations. We have none this evening. So now we will move on to the public comment portion of the meeting. If anyone would like to make public comments, I'd ask that you come up to the podium. We are going to have public comment limited to 3 minutes. Generally, public comment is for comments, not for questions, but if you do have a question when you're commenting and we can answer it, we will. Otherwise, we will take your question back and make sure it gets discussed and answered by the council at a later date. So any public comments this evening? And the other thing about public comment is it would be for anything that's not coming up on the agenda later. So, yes, Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie Christensen on 291 Holly Street, Plat 5, on the west. I'm just here to ask, I mean, it is a question, but it's more, I guess it's a procedural question. I noticed in some documentation received last week that there was an email dated December 19th from our former mayor to Ken Kaluski, the Director of Office of Planning and Development for Lincoln County, stating that Star Valley Ranch Planning Commission supports the rezoning of the Blue Ribbon Ranch and the conditional use permit that they are seeking. My question is, from the Planning Commissions from the town of Star Valley Ranch, I would like to know what went into that decision, because I cannot find that in any kind of minutes. I can't find that on an agenda anywhere in December. And the request was only sent on the 13th to the town, and she responded on the 19th, 6 days later. So there were a lot of citizen comments to this, almost 100% of them against it. So I'm trying to determine why the approval and what citizen input was related to it. And in case you don't know what the plan is, it's an RV park.
So I can talk to that a little bit. I can't talk to the response that former Mayor Byers provided. I believe she emailed the council and the Planning Commission members to ask them via email if anybody had any concern about it. We did, when the Planning Commission met last month, I think it was our last meeting, we did specifically talk about the Blue Ribbon Barn rezoning, which would be rezoning it from rural to recreational. And that rezone would allow things like an RV park potentially. However, as part of the packet from the Lincoln County Planning and Zoning Board, they are also requesting a conditional use permit, and in that conditional use permit, it is just for operation of the Blue Ribbon Barn store, that barn that's currently on Cedar Creek. So my understanding after talking to the planner, because I did go back to him, because our planning commission, when we talked about it last month, they were concerned. They did read all those public comments, which I don't think had been circulated, or they might not have been available in December. And so they did have some questions about it as well. And our understanding now is that if the folks that own the Blue Ribbon Barn want to do something more than operate the Blue Ribbon Barn store, they will have to go back to the county and back through the planning commission to get another conditional use permit. Even if the zoning does change from rural to recreational, they would have to go back through and there would be another public comment period. So that's my understanding. We did also, as a planning commission and as the new mayor, I did submit new comments, and we did note so that while we didn't have any opposition, we just wanted to acknowledge we do understand that changing that zoning could open it up for additional uses such as an RV park. So hope that helps a little bit, but thank you for bringing that up. Any other public comments? Yes?
I'm not bringing this up as any criticism, but I hope I can bring a little humor maybe to the situation.
And could you state your name?
I'm Dave Ruthard on Vista East Drive, and I just want to thank the town for installing the new speed control devices on Vista and Vista East. They are working really well. Some people call them potholes, but they are really slowing everybody down, so we appreciate that. I'm sure we're going to be living with it for quite a while.
A little bit longer, so.
Yeah, a lot longer. So the other thing I wanted to just ask about, well, there was an email from the town the other day about not plowing the cul-de-sacs. And I don't live on a cul-de-sac, but there's one next to my property. And the woman that I spoke with who does live there was wondering what will happen if there's an emergency or if the first responders need to get in and they're delayed. Who's responsible for that? I think you ought to rethink that. We still have plenty of winter left.
Yep, understood. Thank you for the comments. It's been a really rough few weeks for our public works crew. We've had some equipment difficulties, and I think the email that went out did explain that a little further. Administrator Aiken, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
It's, we're not going to plow the cul-de-sacs with the road grader. We're still plowing them with the trucks, and the reason being we're doing more damage to the cul-de-sacs with the grader than good. We are still plowing them. We're using the trucks that we have.
Well, it was kind of odd because Monday, after the storm over the weekend, this is Vista East, Vista Court. He drove up there with a plow truck and turned around and didn't do any plowing. And there was at least 8 inches. So it was kind of weird.
I know as we get into our budget cycle here later this month and in the next few months, we're going to be taking a look at what we can do to improve some of the equipment that we currently have. Some of those pickup truck plows they've been beat up pretty badly over the years and just not treated real well. So we're going to try to see what we can do to improve some of that equipment as part of our budget process. So it's going to be a long wish list of public works equipment, so we're going to have to prioritize what we can actually afford. But we thank you for the comments, and we know it's been tough for everybody, and it's been tough for the public works crew too, because they haven't been able to get out there and do things the way they would like to with all the crazy early thawing and refreezing and now more snow on the way. So
I went to Central Asia last summer, and these potholes here are world class.
we're happy to help with those.
Yeah.
I think it slows people down. Yes, Mr.
Can I
Zimmer.
add just to the humor? Vista Drive is getting wider. I don't know where the property line is, but you may want to put some sideboards on that thing because traffic is going further and further into the private property area.
Trying to get around the potholes.
Get around the potholes.
Okay.
We came down tonight, there's a full half lane on the right-hand side where the potholes aren't yet.
Thank you for that. Any other public comments this evening? Okay. Oh,
I'll just add the Porto Road potholes are also.
so, okay.
They're
And
not
Porto.
world class, though. They're just normal.
There it is. It's normal every year.
Anyone else? Okay. Glasses, I'm sorry, let's see what's next. All right, next item on the agenda is to adopt the consent agenda. However, before we do that, I'd like to ask for a motion that amends the item B1 on the consent agenda to change the date to 2025. And just a quick explanation there, we're gonna change the appointment of Mr. Sidaway to the Water Board to coincide with when the appointment of a current member expires, and then we can reappoint them both in June. The way our ordinance is set up, we're supposed to stagger appointments on boards so that only 2 positions expire each year. Did I get that right? And that way we don't have a bunch of people leaving the board at the same time. And we do still have an open seat on the water board, so if we do get another volunteer that wants to be on the board before June, we can always, we'll add that individual and make sure that date is staggered and different from Mr. Sidaway's and Mr. Young's. So if I could get a motion to make that amendment to the agenda.
I make the motion to adopt the consent agenda as revised. So
Thank you. And may I have a second for that, please?
I'll second.
All right, so it's been moved by Councilman Toolson with the amendment to the agenda and seconded by Councilman Merrill. All in favor? Aye. None opposed. The amended consent agenda adoption carries. And with that, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which are ordinances. And before, we have 2 ordinances this evening, and before we read those, could I get a motion to read the ordinances by title and explanation, please?
I so move that we read the ordinances by title and explanation only.
Thank you. Moved by Councilman Merrill. Could I have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Councilman Bitter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the motion carries. We will read by title and explanation. The first ordinance up for reading this evening is ordinance 2025-1. And I would like to ask Councilman Ellis if you would read that, please.
Ordinance 2025-01, Title 15, Land Usage, Chapter 154, Zoning. Be it ordained by the governing body of the town of Star Valley Ranch, the explanation is to update existing language, to remove the deposit for a plat amendment, update the administrative fee to be set by resolution, and change language to better match other town code. I move we approve ordinance 2025-01.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Ellis, and seconded by Councilman Toolson. That works. Are there any questions from the public on this ordinance and this change? This is the 3rd reading, kind of an administrative update. Okay. No questions? Any questions from council? No? All right. Hearing no questions. All in favor?
Aye.
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 With none opposed, the motion carries. The ordinance is approved on the 3rd reading. Let's see here. 1 second. Keeping track here. All right. The next item on the agenda is ordinance 2025-03, and I would like to ask Councilman Toolson if you would read that one.
This is the first reading as of March 11th, 2025 for ordinance 2025-03, Title 3 Administration, Chapter 33 Town Organization. Be it ordained by the governing body of the town of Star Valley Ranch the following updates. Explanation. This ordinance updates existing code to add the alternate member and clarify language.
And if you can give us a motion to approve the first reading.
I make a motion that we approve the first reading of ordinance 2025-03.
Okay. It's been moved by Councilman Toolson on the first reading of 2025-03. Could I get a second, please?
I'll second.
And seconded by Councilman Merrill. Are there any questions from the public on this change to this ordinance? Okay. Any questions from council? Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, the first reading of ordinance 2025-03 passes. All right. With that, we move to the next item on the agenda, which would be resolutions and motions. And there is a motion. I forgot who I asked to read this. I did ask Councilman Ellis to please read
Mayor,
this.
I move to appoint Mayor Ruzia Rock as the voting delegate and Town Administrator Trevor Aiken as the alternate voting delegate to represent the town at the Wyoming Association of Municipalities during the Summer Convention Business Meeting, June 11th through 13th, 2025, passed and adopted this 11th day of March, 2025.
So it's been moved by Councilman Ellis. Can we get, is that
A second.
a second, please? Second by Councilman Bitter. Any questions on this motion? This is a annual appointment of voting delegates to the Wyoming Association of Municipalities Conference. Okay, any questions from council? All right, all in favor? Aye. Hearing none opposed, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public hearings and action items, and we do not have any of those this evening. So we'll go to the next item, which is anything from the mayor and council. So I will open it up. Councilman Bitter, did you have any
Yeah,
comments to
just wanted to
share?
make everyone aware that the governor has signed the property tax exemption. It is now law, and so starting with going back to January 1st of this year, the law states, the ordinance states that it will be a 25% reduction up to the first $1 million of assessed value. That includes both the house or the dwelling and the land associated with that property. So we are going to see that reduction in our property taxes come to us. We've done some calculations, and it looks like it'll impact us probably about $100,000. But we believe that the sales and use taxes, if they continue to go on the trajectory they are, they'll probably offset that lost revenue. And so we've taken that under advisement, and we're looking at it. But just everybody be aware of that. And we'll build it into the budget that way as well.
Right.
Any questions?
I've got a question. I'm Ron Thacker. I live on Porter Road with lots of potholes. But I went through an analysis on my property. And I went over the past 5 years. My taxes have went up 125%. Now, when I went back and looked, the mill levies on those properties for the town and the school district have not changed. It's still the same amount, which means that on these increased valuations on the property, the town has profited handsomely. So when I start to hear about, well, now we got troubles because of the budgets, it's telling me I'm not sure we're looking at the budgets properly. When you say, well, this is where we were last year, okay, and so we got to think about some more stuff because we've got an increased amount by the mill levies on the properties. I also went back and looked, the CPI increased, okay, by the rate of 23% over those 5 years. Now, something's going on here. There's lots of money, being distributed around, and lots of people saying, we don't have enough damn money.
Well, let's correct one thing. All we're saying is that our reserve is healthy. The last 5 years, we've had a healthy reserve. The key is our reserve is going to be smaller this year. The excess reserve is going to be smaller this year by a small amount. So we are still putting money into our reserve for, if you want to call it a rainy day fund, whatever you want to call it, that fund is growing.
understand.
So
But I'm looking at,
we're not spending it.
yeah, I'm looking at the taxes are going up, okay? The tax levels, okay, are remaining the same, and the property values have just skyrocketed. So I'm a little concerned. 23% CPI increase, 125%, okay, tax increase in the same period of
Well,
time.
that's yours. You want to know what the ranch in average is? 159. 159% over the 5 years. I know, you got a good break.
Uh-huh.
You should feel good.
Yeah, I just wrote the check and I don't feel good.
Anyway, yes, we understand that totally.
Appreciate the comments.
Yes.
Anything else, Councilman Bitter?
No,
Could
that's,
I ask you a question on that? I read it, but I can't remember what it said. That goes into effect on the 2026 taxes?
no, the the first 25% on the first million is from January 1st this year. What changes, but what changes next year is the fact that if you, you need to be a full-time resident in your home for 8 months of the year, that's what's changing. So if you're not eligible, if you're a snowbird or whatever, you're gonna lose that eligibility. That's what starts in 2026.
Yeah.
Okay, now that you brought it up, may I ask some questions?
Sure.
My understanding is that this 25% has no sunset date.
Correct.
That the 50% for us old folks has a 2-year period. And then it goes out of commission in 2027 unless renewed. So right now, if you're old or have been up here as a child and own property, you can get a 50% discount. Or if it's not, if you don't qualify there, then you drop back to 25. The question I really have is that's my confusion. I know it's for this year's taxes, but when do I pay this year's taxes? This coming year, or, because we already got our tax bill?
Yes, but the tax assessment that you're going to get for this calendar year 2025 that's coming,
It's payable in
That's-
26.
that's right. That's the one we're
So
talking about.
you're, okay, all right, I'm with you.
Because a lot of people pay it in this year at the end of the year so they can deduct it on their
But you
tax.
can also pay in December and June or May or
December,
June.
June.
You get it, yeah. Yeah, you can split it up into 2 payments.
Because that could screw us up.
Now,
on a
what's
budget.
interesting is they did put in here, nothing in this shall prohibit a taxpayer from paying the amount of property taxes that would have been due without the
We would like to
application
be
of the exemption.
generous.
So,
That's for
if you choose to pay the full amount, not take the, that's up to you.
Mayors should do that, you know.
Anyway, a lot's been going on in the House and Senate, and this is the actual document that the,
Can I make this one clarifying
One
comment?
more.
So there's not confusion more than it costs. The increase in our taxes is a very small amount of the town's budget. It's not a really, I mean, it's a lot of money, but relative to a $2 million budget, it's a small amount. So 25% off of a small amount on a large budget,
it's about 20%.
is it really that much?
Yeah, because we're $544,000 this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So, again, it's not insignificant, but if we do get $100,000 of less revenue, we just need to know it's, yeah. We just don't want to assume that it's coming when it's not. Okay?
Okay, Councilman Joseph?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Councilman Bitter.
That's fine.
No, I just want to let people know that we had a really good workshop today. My 2 hot item buttons lately have been the Mountain Estates as well as the Bitcoin, and I just want to reassure you all that we met with the fire chief today, and he gave us a lot of really good information regarding the access that they would look forward to. We have not made any decisions on this. We will be looking to make a decision probably in the next month or so on that. But I just want to reassure you that we are talking about it. Same with the Bitcoin mining situation. There's some legal stuff going back and forth, but we are still holding our ground not allowing that to become part of our neighborhood.
Anything else on travel and tourism, or what you want to say?
Sure, travel and tourism, we gave our first grant money to, the HOA for ice skates to be used for the ice skating rink next year. We also have another grant that's coming in that the travel and tourism board is looking at. I don't know how much I can disclose.
Not decided yet, right?
Not decided yet, so no recommendation quite yet, but, we're making progress. There's a lot of fun things coming down. Our birthday party, our town's birthday party, 20th year is this year, so we're gonna be trying to get a group of people together to figure out a fun celebration to celebrate the town in the fall. So if you're interested, let me know.
Anything else?
I don't think
All right,
so.
thank you. Councilman Mara.
So May 15th at 7 PM will be our first wildlife conflict resolution meeting. And that is just to kick off quite a few more during the summer and fall. And also, our road board seems to have some empty spots. So if you know of someone who is familiar with roads or building roads, anyone of
Maintenance
the
on
sort,
potholes.
it would be great for them to come in and talk with us.
We've got 2 volunteers.
Yeah.
Councilman Ellis, anything?
Yeah, the Natural Resources Board is looking at trying to figure out a way to keep snowmobiles from going up Cedar Creek Canyon. We've had a few snowmobiles in the creek, so it is relatively dangerous. And there was discussion about keeping the pass open in Fox Run Park, and they're trying to do that by volunteers with snowshoes. However, volunteers were down this year, so.
Anything else? Yes.
That's it.
All right. I have a couple of quick things. First off, the town council has decided we would like to conduct a second work session every month. So that'll be on the, I believe it's already on the town calendar, but we will be meeting for a work session on the 4th Wednesday of the month at 8 a.m. So just heads up on that. And so that for this month, I think that's the 26th of March on Wednesday. And then the other item I just wanted to bring up, and you'll be seeing more information about this, the town has come up with, we'd like to put together, actually town staff has developed this, they're still working on it, a volunteer and community service award. That it's gonna be kind of a ride for the brand for Star Valley Ranch, and we will have nomination for them. It can be for anyone in the community that's done volunteering or some kind of community service or has worked for the town in some capacity. It's not just for the employees, they can get nominated too. But we'll be putting more information out about that. So when you do see it, if you do have anyone that you think would be deserving of it, we'd like to recognize members of the community that have done, a lot of work for the town. And many of you that come to these meetings on a regular basis are involved in other ways. And we just would like to recognize folks that are, dedicated to the town that we live in, and we appreciate it, so. And that is all I have. So with that, if I could entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
I motion that we adjourn.
And can I get a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Bitter and seconded by Councilman Coulson. All in favor?
Aye.
And the motion passes.